If you're kind of trying to get started in the SMMA space, my number one advice would be take it over to AI. My whole entrepreneurial journey started with social media marketing agency. So I just felt like I was sprinting, and eventually I slipped and I fell off, and that company went bankrupt.
You've become an expert level of what, a $250,000 worth of compensation per year, or up to that within one of these roles within the space of a few months. You literally have an engineer in your title. Never been an engineer before.
I finally found a way to create voice bots within 15, 20 minutes, and I became an expert in that field.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we have a very special guest, Will, a member of my accelerator, who's gone from a college dropout with a struggling SMMA with zero coding experience to landing a job as the chief solutions engineer at one of the top AI voice startups in the world. So Will, thank you for coming on today. I'm looking forward to digging into your story.
It's a pleasure to be on here. I've always been someone I looked up to, so it's really nice to be able to connect to you one-on-one.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Nice to meet you, man. We can jump into things straight away and get into how you've gone from where you were just a couple months ago to landing this role. So start off with your story, really. How did you get into the space? Your SMMA days. I think everyone's going to want to hear that transformation, because there's so much interest in the space of, can I go out of an older vehicle like SMMA into this? So let's just jump in there.
Yeah, it's never really been a question of can I, it's just if I will. So I knew that there was an opportunity out there for me, and I knew that all I had to really do was just dedicate myself to go get it. And my whole entrepreneurial journey started with social media marketing agency, given the fact that it was like the biggest thing and you couldn't go on social media without seeing startup social media marketing agency. So I went ahead and I did that, and I had relative success. I did it for just around 2 years, and I watched it grow gradually. I always think of social media marketing kind of like pedaling on a treadmill, because you're always trying to keep up with your clients, and they'll always seem to like run away from you. So the better your social media marketing agency gets, it's just like the higher level that the treadmill's going. So I just felt like I was sprinting, and eventually I slipped and I fell off, and that company went bankrupt. I sold all my equity. And from there, I was kind of lost. I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of back at square one. And square one's just like the worst place to be, because you don't know what fork in the road you want to go. So I thought to myself, you kind of have to be an idiot not to know that AI is taken over, and everyone talks about it. So why not utilize it? I was using a little bit of it. As I mentioned, it's hard to look up AI on YouTube and not see your face. So of course you showed up on my feed. Yeah, exactly. It's really hard not to see you. And just like everyone else in the network, it's really hard to say no to your offer as well when I came across your network, just because of how powerful it is, how many people there are with similar interests. And I joined your network. I started learning my AI skills, and I make it sound simple, but it's just nights of not knowing what you're going to do, pulling out your hair and thinking that this is way too hard, and you have to learn a new software, and it's definitely, I make it seem simplified when I say it like this, but I continued to learn new softwares, and I learned how to do low code, and that kind of developed into high code. And I started using a software called Ottley. And when I used that software, I used it for my own agency. And from there, I created partnerships within your community and within Ottley, and it kind of blew up into this deal of becoming a chief solutions engineer at Ottley. That's something I could touch on a little bit too, but in the broad scheme of things, that's pretty much what happened to me, and on this roller coaster of the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I think the most amazing thing to me about your meteoric rise is just how quickly you've done it. You said online business for 3 years, but this little stint you've done in the AI space is only 3 to 4 months since you got into the accelerator, or since you started watching my content, or since you started approaching the AI space in general. So what are the timelines on all of this?
You sold me quick, Liam. I think I only had to watch your content for, it only took me maybe...
Not even though did he sell it?
No, 3 days I think I watched your videos, and then I was like, all right, I can't just go with the YouTube. I need a deep dive into more of his content, into his network, and talk to the people that he knows. So yeah, I went ahead and I got enrolled into your network, and it's the fastest my business has ever grown. I've started more businesses in social media marketing. I've always been like an entrepreneur. So when I was a kid, I used to sell my candy on Halloween. So like I've done businesses my whole life. I've tried businesses, and never has everything ever grown this quick on me. So it's crazy how the AI space kind of kind of changed my life at such a rapid pace. I don't even, my family couldn't even keep up with it. I would see my cousins, and like 2 months ago, they didn't even know I was in the AI space, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm moving to New York because you know I'm a chief solutions engineer at a software company. So
it must be hard for you to even understand it. Literally, like a lot of the time, us as entrepreneurs, we will be working very hard for a long time. We see the changes in our life, and we go, well, yeah, like of course I'm here now. But even in this case, it's been so quick for you. It must be shocking. So imagine that. For your family, it's just must like impossible for them to grasp just like how quickly, like 3 months ago, he was talking about this AI thing, and now he's got a job at a startup in New York. So we dig into that a little bit more, and I think people probably want to know about what this chief solutions engineer role is. People, if you've never heard of Ottley before, it's one of the top AI voice agent platforms that's out there. They've reached out to me multiple times. The team seems lovely over there. I'm really glad that you've linked up with them, and I know they've already got some really great stuff on their hands. So I'm excited to see what you can do in that position. But can you tell us a little bit more about what your role is there and how you've been able to transfer over what you've learned from running your own AI automation agency, selling these voice solutions, to now essentially being that head agency owner within Thoughtly?
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't too big of a transition for me, simply because I was already providing the solutions that they want to provide within my own agency. So all of the solutions that I was doing, creating voice bots and automations using Make.com and Zapier, is something that they're looking for in a chief solutions engineer, who's pretty much just going to be looking over all of the operations within their white glove service and making sure that that their high ticket clients are getting the services they deserve. So all of the services I was providing is now something that I could utilize within another business. And it kind of goes to show that even on the days that you think that you're not making any progress, you're kind of just sculpting your character into the thing that you need to be in order to get what you want. So just learning that software inside and out just paid off for me in such a great way, to where I could sustain a agency and then take those services into the actual software company in and of itself.
Yeah, I think another key part of the story for people who are looking to get into starting an agency is, one, the fact that you have no development experience and you've been able to go on to now get a chief solutions. Like, you literally have an engineer in your title. You've never been an engineer before. So I think that's just a great example of the AI space in action, and how much opportunity there is here, and how low the perceived experiences that you need to have in order to get these kind of roles. It's like, in the AI voice space, it's only really been a thing for the past 6 months or so. So you've become an expert level of what, a $250,000 worth of compensation per year, or up to that, within one of these roles within the space of a few months, because you are one of the top 0.01% of users of these platforms. So can you give, for people who are looking to, and this is kind of part of my strategy and recommended strategy for beginners getting started now, is to pick one area, one tool, or one niche, or one platform, and become very good at it. And that's how you can get you can become the top 1% or top 0.1% within a small area or within one platform, get noticed by certain people, and be a voice authority within the space of a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So how were you able to learn this platform so quickly as someone who's not a development, who doesn't have a development background? And do you have any tips on, well, firstly, what was your process for learning this? And then what would you recommend for anyone else who was in a similar position to you, who wants to get started on a certain tool and get deep and become an expert?
Absolutely. To touch on that first question that you answered there, what was like kind of the process of learning the system? So I wasn't one to, when I watch your videos, I know you're supposed to niche down and you're supposed to find a certain niche and then provide a certain service. I was one of those airheads who was like, I need to attack everything. I need to provide everything to everyone because that's the biggest market. And you'll quickly find out. It is a big
market. You're not wrong.
You'll
it is a big market.
You'll quickly find out that if you try giving to everyone, it's very hard to reach the amount that you want to. So if you niche down, you'll be able to get a select few that meet your criteria. But as I started to niche down, I started kind of finding solutions that would be utilized well in my niche. So I started with just AI receptionists. I want to take your leads from point A to point B. And I did my research on a bunch of different platforms, and I tried every platform. I had a subscription to around 6 different accounts, and some are still running. I forgot to even cancel them. But trying everything is just so important. if you try one software or if you try one strategy and turns out it didn't work, then if that's going to be your perceived value of the whole entire mission ahead of you, that's a tad bit hubris. But I made sure to try absolutely everything, and I made sure to fall over a bunch of times, and I made sure to find something I liked, and then that I considered that a step forward in and of itself. And I came across Ottley, and I absolutely loved it. I know that they had a small team, and I kind of had an idea of maybe like providing some value in the future, but never anything that I thought would turn into this. And I learned that it's simple as learning the software by yourself. It's kind of those lonely nights where it's like midnight and you should be sleeping, but you still have to like figure something out, or you're still on like a puzzle that hasn't been completed. And I finally found a way to create voice bots within 15, 20 minutes. And I became an expert in that field. And my accolades even got noticed from the guys over at Ottley. They were talking about me in their office without me even knowing. And that also just goes to show with those nights where you think that there's no progression. Turns out there was somebody on the other end of the computer just looking at the progression I was
watching your progress, literally.
Yeah. And I forgot that follow-up question as well, but that's kind of how I got started in the whole Ottley space.
Yeah, it's cool. I like what you said there about people. I mean, the progress that you're making behind the scenes. People typically think that that's something that like you're butting your head against the wall and you think you're not making any progress, but you're still building up the skills of actually tackling those problems. And like what you were saying about having to try all platforms, that's step one in building up some kind of knowledge gap and expertise, right? So if you're looking to become an expert in a certain space, if you're looking to do voice AI, step one is to test them all. As you can't possibly be an expert if you don't have some familiarity with all of the tools and understand which ones are good at different things. And there's a lot of videos that's popping up right now on comparing these different platforms. So step one in becoming an expert and going deep in a field is going to be testing those different tools out within a certain niche. So that's a great thing to show that you can go onto these no-code platforms and become an expert and get hired to literally become an engineer as chief solutions engineer selling on a platform like that. I want to jump into now a little bit more of your success within the agency before you got into this role. So can you run us quickly through how you started your agency? You said you've covered a little bit of it now, but can you go through the clients you signed in the short span of time that you were running just the agency, and how you were acquiring those clients as well? Because you as an ex-SMMA owner, this is such an interesting space, and I love seeing people come over to this opportunity because you're a great example of taking these skills that you built up in a very difficult vehicle where acquisition is an absolute challenge. Like you said, it's a treadmill. And I mean, a lot of my friends are running these businesses as well. And I know firsthand how difficult it can be for them. So for you to be able to transfer all those skills over into an area where acquisition is so easy because the offer is fresh. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you were using your SMMA acquisition skills within the AI space?
Yeah, I hope this resonates with, if there's anybody who's watching this who's in the SMMA space. If you're kind of trying to get started in the SMMA space, my number one advice would be take it over to AI. SMMA is so saturated, and I don't mean it to be like it's impossible to be successful in SMMA, but it's so saturated and it's so hard to break through the noise. The amount of emails I even get just saying like, we could bring in 1,000 leads. It's very hard to break through the noise in SMMA. So I was using Zapier and some chatbot builders within my SMMA, and it kind of pivoted into AI. I think you would kind of have to be blind or an idiot to realize that AI is not going to be taking over the future. So I thought, I could have two choices. Either I could work with AI or I could work for AI. So I went ahead and I made the choice of working with AI. And I took all of my acquisition skills that I previously had in SMMA, like LinkedIn outreach. I used Dripify a whole lot. I would send Instagram DMs, and I would also run Facebook ads. So with that, I used those strategies, and I found which one would work best with the AI space. And I quickly found out that LinkedIn was the best way to do so. So I capitalized on my Dripify campaigns, and I kind of played around with a different copy. And I think the most valuable insight I can give on acquiring clients in this space is giving away free value. The Alex Hormozi method of jab, jab, cross, give, ask is something that I've used for a long time. And I start by simply offering a free chatbot or a free solution for their business, completely deployed into their business, absolutely free of cost. And if I can guarantee that those messages aren't being delivered into their inbox, completely offering a free service. So I'm breaking through the noise right there. From there, I would create a partnership off of a free basis, and then they would feel compelled to sign up for some more services, given on the expertise that I've shown in offering a free service. So I think kind of capitalized on that as well.
Well, so you're just rocking in there, setting up a Dripify campaign. Excuse me. Dripify campaign, testing a bunch of different first messages and different copy. You're saying, hey, like, I'll build you free XYZ, and you're probably just whipping these builds up on voice flow from a template or something, right? Or something very basic, or even like chat based or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so many options there. You're just taking that, doing a very quick and easy delivery for them. As long as they're happy with it, then you've got your foot in the door. You've got some kind of goodwill with them. And this is going back to something that I've got a bunch of videos coming on it, but there's really 3 key things that we're noticing across the community of what makes a successful agency. And firstly, it's technical expertise on understanding AI, understanding how it can help businesses, understanding at least a couple of these tools and how you can use them to create value with AI. Secondly, it's some kind of lead flow. And finally, it's authority and credibility in order to get those deals closed, right? So in your case, you're sending out the messages, you're showing you have the technical expertise to go on and build these chatbots. The free ones that you offer them, you've got the technical expertise there, and also the technical expertise on Thoughtly to upsell them to other offers as well. You've got the lead flow coming in through the Dripify campaigns, and you've also got the authority and credibility from the fact that you're delivering that free offer first, right? So you're tackling all of those different angles in one. I love that, and I think it's so exciting seeing SMMA people starting to trickle over here now, because I think in your case, like, you've already got all the skills. It's like Hormozi talks about, there's a ladder, right? So you've got, I think, skills and beliefs, and then there's like the vehicle's also a key part of it. And for him with Gym Launch, he'd been working in the gym industry for so long, and he just built up all of these skills and excellent client acquisition strategies and operational skills. He just didn't have the vehicle yet. As soon as he had Gym Launch, he was just able to shoot up. And I think there's so many SMMA owners like yourself who can transition into the space and apply all those skills and just get in the right vehicle after beating the same dead horse for so long. So
absolutely.
Can we get into a little bit of the community aspect as well? Because you've come obviously very far very quickly, and you said a community was a massive aspect of that. And I've got the free community and the accelerator, and you came into that and were just absolute superstar from as soon as you landed. So can you please give us a walkthrough on how you were able to, was it strategic, or were you just in there just really buzzing about it? You didn't really have to think about it too much. And how can people follow in your footsteps to get the same kind of value out of communities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think your community in particular is, I join a lot of communities. I always think of the best purchase you can get is requiring more knowledge. So I always sign up for courses and communities and whatnot. And I'm not saying this just because I'm having an interview with you, but I truly believe that
I haven't paid him to say this, by the way. These are always completely unscripted.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely comes from the heart, especially given the current situation that I'm in and such a beautiful financial situation I have ahead of me. I've never joined a community that has changed my life like yours.
That's what we love to hear. Yeah. That's awesome, man. We love it.
It truly is a blessing. And I came across your community, and like I mentioned, it didn't take me long to realize, it's to see the value and to see exactly how this could potentially change my life. So I went ahead and without even thinking, even reading the descriptions of your community, I kind of just signed up for it, knowing that it was worth it. I just had to watch that one video. Good intro, by the way. It really hooked me. But I got into the community, and I instantly started networking. I started doing the same strategies I just mentioned. I started saying potential collaborations. I'll build out free chatbots for clients. I'll see where our strengths kind of align. Where your weaknesses, where my strengths are, we'll make partnerships. From there, I reached out to just about everybody in that community, and I just tried to find nice little partnerships that I could create. And I eventually came across an AI consultant in that networking program, along with many others. But I came across a guy named Brad Costanzo. If he's watching this, he's a really great guy. He's always bringing in clientele that he kind of consults for, and he passes off the services to me. So that was a way I brought in like 5 clients a month, and I continuously bringing in 5 to 6 clients a month just from him.
Partnerships.
Yeah, he's just he's kind of just setting them up for me, and I knock them out. So just talking to the right people is so important. I find that to be the most important part of all of it, whether it be, screw the outreach, screw everything else. I think if you could create a partnership between somebody and get your foot in the right door, you're setting yourself up for success. So I always try talking to the right people, always try reaching out to somebody that could bring me to a next level.
Would you recommend first bringing something to the table in that equation? So in your case, it was a thought lead expertise, and you can come and say, hey, look, hey, XYZ, you'll make a post in the community, reply to a message and say, hey, look, just shot you a DM, would love to chat. Will you really focus on bringing that value first? In your case, you're saying, hey, I'm good at this, you're good at that. Maybe we can do something here. So how important do you think that is? Because I think a lot of people hearing that will say, oh, well, I don't have to actually learn chat. I can just come in here and like hope that someone's going to give me a handout. It's still important for them to be getting some kind of value that they can bring to the equation, right?
Absolutely. I definitely don't mean to be, I don't mean for people to be arrogant when they walk in there and just think that they could walk in and make money. No, everyone needs like to get a little something in return for another thing. So absolutely, being able to provide something is extremely important. And no matter what it is, like we mentioned before, if you're just good at that one thing, there's someone in your community who needs that one thing. Yeah. And just like that, you create a partnership that can completely change your life. So yeah, I think that's really important to nail that one thing and be really good at that one little aspect, and then from there you could utilize that to create partnerships.
And you can, if you go narrow initially, like Amazon started as a bookstore, as the quote, like you can go narrow, and like in your case, you've gone from a non-complete non-developer to understanding these voice platforms, and now backing out to more like proper traditional code and getting the solutions gig. So you start narrow because it's easy to become an expert in a narrow area, especially when it's new, like the AI space. You go narrow first, and over time and just experience of working with clients, you will be able to, you'll encounter problems as you're trying to deliver them for clients, and you might have to become a little bit more technical on the traditional side. And so, okay, well, you get these little micro challenges and little problems. This is the exact same as when I got into the space, and all the videos that I did early on, I had like this narrow understanding of a certain area. And then over just all of the videos and client projects we did, I had to slowly expand my knowledge and understanding so that it's a lot more broad now. And that's really the most straightforward way of building a broad understanding of a topic is to start narrow and just work your way out.
Yeah, definitely the best way to overwhelm yourself is to look at the big picture, to look at the top of the mountain instead of the step in front of you is the best way to overwhelm yourself. If you were to try to take in Zapier and voice bots and chat bots and everything that comes with it, you're just overwhelm yourself. Completely agree.
It's good that we're mentioning this topic because I've actually got a video that I've just finished planning, which is probably going to come out sometime next week. And it's on 5 different ways to start an agency. It's because I know there's different routes. There's the voice route, there's a text-based agent route, there's becoming an automation specialist, there's using the Zapier ecosystem. There's all these different starting points or starting blocks that you can choose within your AI journey right now. And it's basically which narrow area do you want to focus on first and get good at, and just so you can, and I'm trying to give a 5 or 6 step process of, hey, for the next 3 months, just follow this sequence and you will already be narrowly smart and a narrow expert in a certain area. And I'm going to give all of you here on the channel I think 5 or 6 different ways to get started, and you can choose between them. So if you haven't already subscribed, you can subscribe for that because that video is coming out next week. But to wrap things up, I want to talk a little bit about your future. Now you're going over to Ottley, moving from Florida back to, well, not back to New York, but back up north and closer to your home in Chicago. Now go to New York, back to the cold to some degree. Tell us a little bit about what you expected from this role, and where this fits into Will's journey over the next 3 or 5 years. Is this a long-term position? I know you've got some ownership now in the company as well, so it's all very exciting, man. So I'd love to hear more about what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. I think nothing but up from here. Of course, there's going to be some rocky mountains, but I think that this is just an absolutely huge step forward. I moved out to Florida with no clue of what I wanted to do. I just needed to get away and break the noise and kind of separate myself. So I was in that isolationist period, and that's kind of what I needed. And from there, landing that gig in New York, I promised I'd never go back to the cold, but here I am. I'm packing my things up, going back to the cold. I think that it's not at that like I made it moment yet. Of course not. That's a follow-up question I wanted to ask you too, if you've ever had that moment. But it's definitely like I'm in the right position at the right time, and I know that I'm that I'm on track for something great. And yeah, I got my apartment. It's overlooking the city, the skyline. So I'm
Gonna have to start a YouTube channel, brother.
Yeah,
Gonna start talking about this stuff more. We need you on the space as well.
absolutely. That's definitely something that I'm getting involved in as well. The personal branding is something is a learning curve in and of itself, but like everything, just takes time, and you can become professional at it. But a follow-up question I wanted to ask you is if you've ever had that, like, oh crap, like I made it, like this is it, or has it always been like next step, next step, next step?
It's very interesting you asked that, man. It's nice to have a question coming back my way for once, but yeah, I see it in your eyes, and I completely understand the feeling that you have right now, and I think that's the not the holy grail, but that's the end point or the ideal point that we are trying to get to as entrepreneurs. And for me, it's been more recently in my career that I've reached that point of feeling like a little bit of a like weight off my shoulders after 5 years of just constant hustling, constant stress and anxiety about like, is this thing going to just explode overnight and just crumble in my fingers? I say that it's the example of when you're trying to grow a business and you don't know what lever to pull to grow it, you might do 10 things and only like you have to work 10 out of 10, let's say 10 things in a month or 10 things in a year. You have to be at a 10 out of 10 output for only one of them to work, maybe.
Yeah.
But once you've found what works and you've found the vehicle, it might be your agency, and you've found that LinkedIn works, and you can, okay, I can just, the next 3 months, if I just scale my LinkedIn, I know exactly that's going to bring in more clients and I can hire more developers. And when you've got a clear path of, okay, now out of every 10 things I do, I know that 9 of them are actually going to be something that grows the business and it's actually what's moving us forward. You have this level of certainty. That means you don't have to work at a 10x output. You can work at a much more like just a regular output, but everything that you do counts rather than 9 out of 10 things being wasted. So for me in my business, it's been a bit of a coming of age on the morning side, the accelerator and Agentive finally getting to the point where we're happy with it. So I'd say over the past couple of months for me, man, has been one of those moments, and it's a glorious moment, and that's really seeing it in your eyes and hearing from you is exactly what I'm trying to get. I've felt this from the AI space. I've just in Dubai and had all the guys out there, and they've all got that same spark in their eye where they've found their thing. They're happy in their position. The business is hard, but it's hard in a good way that you know that you're struggling and sacrificing for something that's going to work long term, and that you're getting some positive reinforcement from it as well. So that's what the whole point of the channel is, to get as many people to have wins, like in your case, where I'm like, it's all up. Like, I know it's up from here. I found the opportunity in this space, as you've discovered, is just absolutely full of opportunities like that. So that's really my mission on this channel, is getting as many people winning in the same way that I have and that you've just found as well.
Yeah, you mentioned an interesting point there too. You said for the past 5 years, just constant weight on your shoulders, how everything's just like crumbling down, and you think everything's just gonna fall apart. That touches into the point that entrepreneurship isn't like the sexiest thing in the world. Everyone thinks entrepreneurship is just like be my own boss, and I'm gonna cruise on yachts, and then I'm gonna have Lambos, and yeah, it couldn't be farther off. You're gonna have to go maybe for 5-10 years of that crushing pain on your shoulders, but you start falling in love with that pain. You know, you start almost falling in love with that pain so much that when that pain's taken off, you're kind of like, all right, why is it on my shoulder?
It's weird. I was just gonna say, you go through it and you get like, by the time you've gotten used to it to the point that it doesn't hurt anymore, that's when it suddenly comes off your shoulders, and now you're like, well, I've just completely changed my entire psyche, and everything in my life is just built around dealing with the stress and the situation. And now I have a bit more free time, where now I can do it's I've been going through a weird period of my life where I'm having to reevaluate like how I spend my time and what I prioritize and things like that. So yeah, it's been an interesting period, but I'm very grateful for the AI space and the rapid rise that me and my team have had over the past year and a half. And that's what I'm trying to get to many people else to experience as well. So, well, It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I'm extremely excited to hear the updates on the Thoughtly end. We will leave a link to Thoughtly down below now that you're on the team and you're co-owner to some degree. We're going to use the channel to help get you guys more users, but we love the platform anyway. If you guys have some interesting collabs that you want me to do, I'm more than happy. If you've got some cool use cases you want me to drop on the channel, I'm more than happy to share things. I mean, you're doing the chief solutions engineering now. You can send me if there's cool use cases with Thoughtly, and I can put in a video, then we can do something like that as well.
Absolutely, I would love that. It's an absolute pleasure just to have your endorsement, and it's a great talking to you as well. once again looked up for you for a long time, and just to be able to be in my current predicament where I get the opportunity to officially thank you for that big jump in my life.
Mate, it's my absolute pleasure. All the work was you. Like I say, you guys do all the hard work. I just talk about it here on the channel, and you guys actually have to go out there and apply it every day and take those budgets to the face in your business. But it obviously all works out in the end if you put in the work in your case. So, well, mate, I'm looking forward to hearing the updates on this story. And it's thank you for being part of the community, and we really appreciate you here. So I look forward to having some sort of update call later down the line.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lam.